And so we'll start with something that should be easy, fitting the new Hell rear brake line that's just arrived. So in here we do have a new brake line from Hell, and the cost actually doesn't change much. It can be very short or very long, but it's still about £41 delivered. So anyway, let's see if we can get this on here, and hopefully I've done my calculations correctly and it'll fit just fine. And now at this end of the brake line we do seem to have a problem, because the eyelet is angled down rather than facing this way to match up with this banjo bolt. But that's okay, because Hell know about this problem and know that you have to tweak it here and there when you're fitting it to your bike. So what they've done is they haven't yet put the heat shrink fully on this eyelet. As you can see, you can slide it back, and that's done deliberately because you can grip this part of the eyelet and twist the eyelet itself without a problem. And so here we go. Grip these nice and tight, and then we need to twist it clockwise, don't we? So we've got to hold that and hopefully twist it. See how it turns? That's fine, and it doesn't break the seal inside the brake line, and so you can get it orientated just right on your bike. And so with that done, we can now get him where he needs to be. Now I've not yet fitted any copper washers on this side, because obviously this whole area is going to be removed. This has to be polished and anodized, so there's no point fitting new washers just yet. This is all just to make sure we've got the routing of the cable right. And so finally I've got to secure the hose against this threaded boss here on the inside of the swing arm, and to do that I've got to use a P-clip, something like this one here, something like that. It bolts to the back like that. Or go a bit smaller, I've got some nylon ones which would look something like that. However, neither of them fit, because the threaded hole on the back of this boss is too far down to meet up with these holes in the P-clip. So what I've got to do is make a tiny little bracket to make up that difference. A little bracket with two little holes which will lift up the P-clip to be something, you know, like that. And so there's a P-clip attached to its new little bracket. Now we'll have to file this down a wee bit more so you can't really see it. Then I'll paint it black before it goes on the bike for the last time. And last but not least, I've got to sort out this bit of heat shrink here. So here goes. And that's all done now. And so there's the rear brake line in place. Now I will have to do a bit more work on this little bracket here. I'll slim it down, paint it black before it goes back on the bike for the last time. So now then I need to move on to the front brake lines, but I can't do that yet because they haven't arrived yet, because I ordered them about a week after I ordered this one. And now it's a few days later, and as you can see, the new brake lines from Hell have arrived for the front end. So I'm going for what's called a racing setup, which is just two long leads straight from the master cylinder down to each caliper. And to do that, I've got to have an extra long banjo bolt here, which looks something like that, which I already had, so that's great. So we can get that on, and hopefully everything will fit down at the calipers. And so now down at the calipers, the first job is to remove this old banjo bolt, which we don't want, and instead I'll replace it with a nice new shiny one from Hell. Also, you can see that the heat shrink is loose on here, just like it was on the back line, and that's because we need to spin this banjo bolt around so it's facing in the right direction. To do that, of course, we just get a pair of pliers, like so, and a screwdriver, and we'll just spin him around, like that, like so. Is that happy? Yep, I think that's about right. So now, we can just apply a bit of heat to this heat shrink and get this line on the caliper. And so there's the brake lines on the bike. Looks okay. Now my original idea was to run the lines in front of the lower yoke, but now looking at it, I think maybe it looked better if I ran these lines behind the yoke, which is no big deal. I just got to unscrew this, it's only on light at the moment, and pass it through a different route. And hopefully it should look a bit better My original idea was that I could maybe use some P-clips on these bolts here just to hold the lines nice and neat. But now looking at it, I think, nah, I think a different option might be better. So let's just get all that off there and quickly just route these lines a slightly different way. Behind the bottom yoke, like so, up through there, and then like that. I think that might look a bit better. So I think that's what we'll go for. So let's just change that. Don't scratch any paintwork, that would be bad if I did that. And just route it through, and then where you go. So where's my banjo bolt gone? We'll pop him on there like that. Yeah, I mean, you never know until you try it, do you? I mean, I thought maybe the first option would be best, but now, looking at it, I think maybe I was wrong. I don't think there's any real right and wrong way of doing things. It's just whatever you think looks best. So let's get him on there. One last copper washer, if I can find it, on there. And when I measured up the brake lines, I didn't get it absolutely perfect. I always leave maybe 10mm or 15mm extra length, just in case you make a mistake. You can always work around an extra 15mm, but if it's too short, you can't. So yeah, I always go a little bit longer than I should do, really. So now, how does that look? What I'm trying to do is get a nice run on these lines and to make sure they're both kind of pretty much equal, which I think right now they are. So I've just got to play around with this a little bit and get the tension about right before I tighten everything up. And we'll call that another job. There we go, another job done. And so there's the Hell brake lines fitted to the bike. Now, I wasn't going to bother making a video about that because it seems quite straightforward. But as you can see, you know, there are some things you need to take account of. And in particular, it's quite nice that these Hell brake lines have the ability to turn the banjo bolts to the right orientation on the bike. I mean, that will save you a lot of grief. So with that done then, of course, I've got to move on to the engine build, which I've been putting off, but I need to get back onto that this week. One more thing is, folks have been asking me about the clear top coat on this tank in particular, which I've had a big problem with because it wouldn't harden it. Something went wrong in the can, I've no idea what, but it doesn't seem to have had the hardener mixed in correctly, so it's remained sticky to the touch for now about more than a month. And in fact, if I try and lift it up now, you can hear that sticky, so it's sticking still on the back of the tank. Luckily, you can't see it on the bike. So what I've been doing is, every sunny day, and we have had 3 weeks now of sunshine. It's been a great bit of weather. In fact, apparently we're going to have a drought soon. So what I do is I bring it out here and just leave it out in the sunshine as long as I can. And I think that has been working quite well, because now, even though that little back bit there is still a bit sticky, it does feel a bit better. I mean, touching that now, it's actually too hot to touch. It gets so hot. So hopefully, leaving it out here for a few more days should sort out that non-hardened clear lacquer, at least I hope so anyway, because if not, I'll just have to start again. I have to remove it all and just start again, which will be an absolute nightmare. So I'm hopeful, fingers crossed, that the lacquer will harden off in this beautiful sunshine and all will be good. So that's it for this week. Quite a quick video, but as you can see, sometimes fitting brake lines isn't quite as simple as you might expect. So that's it for now. So thanks for watching and cheers.